My topic for this week covers the article about Jonathan Edwards' eschatology by C.C. Goen. Um, According to Goen, in a lot of ways, Edwards is similar to previous Protestant views on eschatology, but in key ways, he also is a radical innovator and has a lot of new ideas. Some of Edwards' common beliefs that he holds to, in keeping with other Protestants, one of which is the historical method of interpreting Daniel and Revelation. This method sees the prophecies about the beast and the Antichrist as being fulfilled in the Roman Catholic Church and in the papacy. Another way is the belief in the millennium as a literal time period. This was common in Edward's day, um, as opposed to earlier church historians' views of the millennium being a symbolic time period which represented the church age. So Edwards held to these common beliefs. He also believed, in keeping with most other Protestant beliefs of the time, that a great period of suffering would occur before the return of Christ, in which Christians would be persecuted. Unlike many Protestants, however, Edwards believed this period of suffering had already passed during the persecution seen at the time of the Reformation. And Edwards believed that following this would be the millennium itself, that the only stage left in human history was the worldwide era of peace and prosperity in the millennium. Edwards' significant departure from standard Protestant eschatology was postmillennialism. Basically, he believed that the millennium would occur before the return of Christ instead of after his physical second coming, and that this would also occur after the fall of the beast of Revelation, which he identified as the papacy. So Edwards believed in something similar to a modern day latter rain movement, that God would pour out his spirit in a new way just before the millennium, leading to mass waves of worldwide evangelism. In the initial period of the Great Awakenings, Edwards thought that what he was seeing happen in New England was the actual beginning of these waves of revivals that would usher in the millennium. He would later edit his views on this, but at the time he believed that the millennium essentially was going to start and already had begun in America, and that God would use America to renovate and evangelize the whole world. You see this in his work, Thoughts on the Revival of Religion in New England. In this work, he goes to great detail to give scriptural evidence that America is the prophesied place for the start of the millennium. He quotes, for instance, Isaiah 60, verse 9. And according to Edwards, he says this verse shows that the millennium will begin in some very remote part of the world. That is, a part of the world that the rest of it will have no communication but by navigation, based on the passage in Isaiah where it says that the ships of Tarshish will bring God's children from afar. And he also believed that a mass wave of evangelism would occur to bring in the Jewish nation into Christianity at this time as well. So these were some ways in which Edwards had departed from traditional Protestant views of eschatology, in ways in which he was an innovator and viewed as contributing to this field of theology.